Flight attendant slaps black woman, unaware she's the billionaire that owns the plane. She had been humiliated before, but never like this. The slap came fast, sharp, loud, right across her face. Passengers gasped. The flight attendant stood there, her hand still raised, eyes burning with anger. "People like you don't belong in first class," she hissed. For a moment, the woman just sat there, silent, expressionless. Then she reached into her handbag, pulled out her phone and made one simple call. Her voice was calm, cold, deadly. "Ground the plane. Right now." The flight attendant frowned. "Excuse me." The woman finally looked up, locking eyes with her. "I own this jet." Silence, thick and suffocating. The flight attendant's smirk twitched. She let out a short, nervous laugh. "You're joking, right?" The woman didn't answer. She simply held up her phone, turning the screen so the attendant and the entire first-class cabin could see. The name on the caller ID made the blood drain from the attendant's face. Ava Sinclair, a name whispered in boardrooms, feared in the aviation industry. The billionaire mogul who had quietly bought out Stellar Airways 6 months ago. The plane she was now sitting on, her private investment. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. Miss Sinclair, we've just been instructed to return to the gate." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Businessmen clutched their briefcases. A woman clutched her pearls. The flight attendant stood frozen. Ava finally stood up, slowly, deliberately, her heels clicking against the marble floor of the first-class cabin. "You just put your hands on the owner of this airline," she said, her voice quiet but cutting. "That was your first mistake." The attendant gulped. "I didn't know." Ava tilted her head. "And that's your second." The plane made a sharp turn. The reality of the situation started to sink in. They were heading back, for her. The wheels touched the runway. The plane taxied back toward the gate, but the tension inside first class had already hit turbulence. Passengers whispered. Some recorded with their phones, wide-eyed, already sensing this was the kind of drama that went viral overnight. The flight attendant's face had gone pale. Her hands clenched into fists. She glanced toward the cockpit, then back at Ava, her breathing uneven. "Listen," she said, her voice tight. "This is all a misunderstanding. I didn't mean." Ava held up a hand. "Save it." The attendant flinched. Ava turned her gaze to the nearest passenger, a middle-aged man in a crisp suit who had been watching everything unfold. "You saw what happened," Ava said. "Tell me, what did she say before she hit me?" The man hesitated, then cleared his throat. She told you that people like you don't belong in first class." Ava nodded, unfazed. "And what do you think she meant by that?" Silence. The attendant's lip trembled. "I didn't." Ava cut her off with a look. "Don't lie to me. Not after what you just did." Ava's assistant, a sharp-eyed woman named Renee, suddenly appeared from the business class cabin. She had rushed over the moment she heard the pilot's announcement. "Ava, I just got off the phone with legal," Renee murmured. "They're already drafting the paperwork." The attendant's breath hitched. Paperwork." Ava slid her gaze back to her. "Oh, did you think you'd just get a slap on the wrist?" She let out a soft, humorless laugh. "You put your hands on me. You humiliated me in front of an entire plane. You made it very clear that in your mind, I wasn't worthy of being here." The attendant shook her head quickly. "No, no." Ava took a step closer. "I could have you fired with one phone call." The attendant swallowed hard. "Please, I need this job." Ava studied her for a moment. "Do you?" The attendant's hands shook. She opened her mouth to beg maybe or to argue, but before she could speak, a voice from the cockpit interrupted. "Miss Sinclair," the pilot said, stepping into the cabin. "We've arrived at the gate. Security is waiting." The attendant let out a small, strangled sound. "Security." Ava turned to her one last time. "You made your choice," she said. "Now you live with it." The doors opened. 2 uniformed security officers stepped inside, and the flight attendant, she just stood there, shaking. The security officers approached, their expressions unreadable. One gestured for the flight attendant to step forward. "Ma'am, We need you to come with us. Her body stiffened. Wait, this isn't fair. I didn't know who she was. Ava raised an eyebrow. That's your defense? That you wouldn't have slapped me if you knew I was rich? The words hung in the air. Heavy. Ugly. The attendant's mouth opened, but no words came out. Passengers watched in silence as she was led down the aisle. She turned back, desperation in her eyes. Miss Sinclair, please. I swear I didn't mean any harm. Ava didn't blink. You meant every word you said. The doors shut behind the flight attendant. Just like that, she was gone. A deep breath filled Ava's lungs. Renee placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. She got what she deserved. Ava nodded, but something in her expression shifted. She's just one person, she murmured. How many more think the same way? Renee hesitated. Are you okay? Ava forced a small smile. Yeah, I'm fine. But she wasn't, because as the plane prepared to take off again, a message popped up on her phone, a single text, from an unknown number. You made a mistake, Miss Sinclair. You embarrassed the wrong person. And now, it's your turn. Ava's stomach turned to ice. She looked around the cabin, but no one was looking at her. Who sent this? And what did they mean by her turn? The plane lifted off, climbing high into the sky. Somewhere on board, someone was watching her, waiting. Ava's grip tightened around her phone. Her heart pounded, but she kept her face neutral. She couldn't let anyone see the shift in her demeanor. She glanced at Renee, who was busy reviewing emails on her tablet, unaware of the message. Ava exhaled slowly. Think. The flight attendant was gone. Security had taken her away, but this text, this wasn't from her. This was from someone else. Ava lifted her eyes, scanning the first-class cabin. The passengers looked normal, some reading, some sipping champagne, some scrolling through their phones, but one of them had sent that message. She tapped the screen, typing a response. Who is this? The three little dots appeared. Whoever it was, they were still on the plane. A reply came instantly. You'll find out soon enough. Ava's throat tightened. She turned to Renee. Get the head of security on the line. Now. Renee frowned. What's wrong? Before Ava could answer, the lights in the cabin flickered. A low hum filled the air. The plane trembled. Just for a second, but enough to make passengers glance up in concern. Then, the pilot's voice crackled through the intercom. Folks, we're experiencing some unexpected interference with the controls. Nothing to worry about, but we're investigating. Ava's stomach dropped. This wasn't random. The text, the flickering lights, the sudden interference. Someone wasn't just threatening her. Someone was trying to take over the plane. She jumped up, striding toward the cockpit, but before she could take another step, her phone buzzed again. Sit down, Miss Sinclair. Unless you want everyone on this plane to suffer. Ava froze. Whoever this was, they had already started their plan. And now, she was trapped at 40,000 feet. Ava's mind raced. She could feel the weight of the message pressing against her chest, the air thick with dread. The lights flickered again. This time, the hum from the plane grew louder. The passengers began to murmur. Panic was creeping in. Ava darted back to her seat, her eyes scanning the cabin, looking for any sign of the person behind this, but they were all strangers to her. All of them appeared calm, almost too calm. Renee, Ava whispered urgently, her voice shaking. Do you feel that? The plane's not right. Something's happening. Renee looked up, her face pale. The interference isn't just technical, is it? Ava shook her head. No, someone's messing with us, and we have no idea who. Before Renee could respond, the intercom crackled again. The pilot's voice was barely audible. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost control of the plane. We need to land. Now. The cabin gasped. Gasps turned into frantic whispers. Ava's heart stopped. This was it. The plane tilted sharply, throwing everyone to one side. The seatbelts clicked as people struggled to hold on. Screams filled the air. But in the chaos, Ava felt something different. She glanced toward the back of the plane. Through the flickering lights, She saw a figure standing, a shadow, slipping out of the rear cabin. Ava's eyes locked on the figure. The hairs on her neck stood up. That person, the person who sent the texts, was walking down the aisle. The last message rang in her head. Unless you want everyone on this plane to suffer. The figure's face was hidden by a dark hood. Ava knew one thing for sure. This was far from over, and if she didn't act fast, everyone on this plane might not make it out alive. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.